water jar and go if he has just met a man. This is not a regular man, this is God. So that was my first confession that Jesus is God, right? So basically that's how I got saved. Even though the Luke 4:18 or the April 18 experience was kind of, something that awakened my reality to God really being real. So the second question, he told me then, yeah, okay, that's good. Now, you too, you have a jar. You must leave it here. I knew in my heart, the whole reason why I came to America, to learn English, to learn computer science, to start a business company, to consult for the World Bank, all that good stuff, I knew that was there, my altar jar. He said, you must live here. And then number 2, he said, you are looking for, the way you are reading this book, you want to know my will for your life. Go do like this one. What this man did, go do the same thing. And so in this water jar, all the most important questions of my life were answered. I knew Jesus was God. I knew my career, the career I was following was the wrong one. Even though I was my way on pursuing it. I have finished school like in 1993. This is 1998, 5 years later. And so he said, what I want you to do what you saw the Samaritan doing. So I knew the will of God for my life. That is in January 1998. So, but this is not really the most, that's not why I'm saying this. It's just I had to start from the beginning. The point I say I want my first encounter with the glory of God. So next month, February, I go from chapter 8 to 15. Then here is a verse that interpret my attention. This one is $11.40. It says, then Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? So I don't know when I start paying attention to this, maybe the first or second, third time. I remember I'm reading like a novel. So, but when I get to 40, Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? What does this mean? It doesn't make no sense. But since I'm reading over and over again, okay, maybe tomorrow I have to figure out. Tomorrow I do something. Then around also the 12 days, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? My eye open. Oh, wow. And so I felt, I knew what it means. Of course, somebody was behind me, suggesting what it was. So basically, Jesus was talking to Martha. This is the situation. Lazarus has been dead. They told Jesus, your friend is sick. So instead of coming back immediately, remained for more time. So that when he arrived back, it was 4 days later. And so Lazarus was already dead. And so the first thing that they talked about, it's on verse 21. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. So basically, you are responsible. You killed my brother. Been there, my brother would not have died. And so now Jesus, but Martha, she's talkative basically. She said, or she was opinionated. She has so many opinions. She said, but I know even now God will give you whatever you ask. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. She's just talking. Do you know how sometimes we go to her, we just talk, but you don't mean what she said? Just say to her, your brother will rise again. Then Amata answered, I know. I know you rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Do you see she's talkative and she's talking about what she doesn't know? So basically, she didn't hear what he said. She's not paying attention. The first time I didn't figure out, but this time when I say, I figure out, oh, so basically she didn't have no clue what he was talking about. Then he just said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Yes, Lord, she replied. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come in the world. So we are talking about two different things, basically. Do you see that? So, what I realized was both Mary and Martha, they knew Jesus as a healer. They thought Jesus could heal their brother when he was sick. But now that he was dead and it has been 4 days, he's in the grave, he was buried, rotting, it was over. And so then I felt that Jesus was saying, even though he's dead and has been rotten, if you believe, you will see the glory of God. If you believe, you will see that I'm God and that somebody who's been dead for so long, it's not an issue for me. Basically, I felt that's what that was saying. Immediately when that clicked in, then God said to me, your brother who is in Kenya, his case is dead like Lazarus. But in the same way I brought Lazarus back to life, I will take the case of your brother. Is it getting good? So, you bet I had an impossible problem during then concerning my brother. My brother was a refugee in Kenya. He has been there for maybe 5 years. And they were living in one room, 10 people. We were sending money, that kind of stuff. That was kind of okay, but I was with my mother, who was very restless about the situation. Because when people are in Kenya, some of the policemen come, disrupt them, even though they may have a roof on the head and then they are eating, but still there's a lot of insecurity that were going. People are afraid of all kinds of stuff. And so it was happening in Kenya, but because these are her grandchildren, the fear is living in my house also. And so I'm not at the peace because I have a mother who is not at the peace. And so I have been carried that for 5 years. Now, because I've been here for a while, I knew how to help somebody who is there to come. If the person was a refugee, you had to do two things. Number one, if you could obtain a referral letter written by the UN recommending him to go to the US Embassy, that person will bring him to America. That's what needs to happen. But for that to happen, a Jesuit were the people who were in charge of recognizing a refugee to give him a status, and then the UN had to write that letter. So now, I live in Dayton. I work with the University of Dayton. Jesuit people have a university in Cincinnati. So we kind of brother universities. So I know somebody, a priest who is there, who is a Jesuit. I go speak to him, I have my brother there, can you do? So yeah, okay, I'm not gonna do that. He talked with the provincial who is in Kenya, and then they had recognized my brother and his family as people who are genuine refugees. And then I know a congressman who is my congressman. I can talk to him, so I can talk to the UNHCR official, talk to them so that my brother, they can give him a refugee status. They can write a referral letter to the embassy. So I coordinate that. It took maybe something like 2 years. They have that letter. And so we celebrate kind of a deal because, we have that letter. That's all we need. And he's going to come, sometime soon. So guess what? After the letter was obtained, he got to the interview. Another 6 months. They respond him to say there's a refugee status denied. It's the first time I hear that thing can be denied. I've never heard it before. And so that's a new what we do. I go speak to lawyers. We determined that that decision that was made can be appealed. But if you appeal, that's going to be the last level we can appeal. If they say yes, it's good. If they say no, it's over. So we appeal. So by that time, I take matter in my own hands, hire attorneys and then write papers. We do an appeal dossier. It gets there. 6 months later, we respond. Say, refugee status denied.
Oh, wow.
And so, there is no chance this guy is gonna ever make it in America. It's over. So this particular day, God gave me this talk. I go to see my mother. When she came initially, she came with my two youngest brothers. And so they think of me as a demigod in America.
A what?
Half God.
A demigod? Oh, wow. French. What, demigod? Top. No, demi is like, yeah. Like that.
In the case here, it's a dummy.
No. They have the same word in English. Don't you?
Huh?
That is proper English, right?
What, demigod?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't realize it. So.
Oh, okay.
So I've been around for a long time. So. But what I know that you have no idea, Okay. So then they tell my mom, the reason my brother family is not coming is because they don't want to. If I really want to do, I know how to do it. And so this morning when I go home, she's crying. Mom, what's going on? She said, did your brother tell me that really the reason is your brother not here is because you don't want to? Because you can. Say, Mom, we've been doing this together. To fight these Jesuit people, to write this congressman, it was kind of moving a mountain. You were there. What's wrong with you? But then, as I'm mad, basically, these people that can say these things. But the reason they say this, basically, if you are in Kenya those days, there's something called fake. And fake has been around for some time. So there's ways you can pay like $20,000 to fake paper makers. And then they will have gone to Europe. And so that's what these people want me to do. I say, guys, two things. Number one, I'm not ready to bribe any system. I cannot do that. Number two, even if I don't have that kind of money. That $20,000, that 10 people, it took like $2,000 to process the fake case for someone. And then there was a possibility, the rate of success was 10%.
Oh.
So I said, there's no way. And then they got mad at me because I didn't want to do it. They felt I can. That's why I said they thought I was a demigod. Okay, so basically, Mama is mad. But I remember what just God told me. I told Mom, God just told me in the same way that He brought Lazarus back to life, He's going to bring this case back into life. So don't worry. So what I don't know is my reading of the Bible was a private matter. Nobody, even my wife, knows what's happening to me. And so my mother, the last time that she saw me, I was a Catholic friend of this priest defending that Jesus is not God. That's number one. Number two, she's an Adventist. Adventists never say God speaks. Only Barocco, the people who are born again, Pentecostal, they say God speaks. She had never heard anybody basically talk about God speaking. And so now, what I told her, with no introduction, nothing, I said, God told me. So because I didn't what I did. I didn't pay attention to what I took for granted. Everybody knows what's happening to me. So really, I did. But she was so in such a shock. She wrapped her tears. He took away her tears. She went to the bathroom. So I left the children and I went. And so she was blown away because really she's boiling about. But this guy, she thought I was going to hell. Now now I'm an oracle of God. What's going on here? So basically, she was puzzled and she didn't know what to make of it. But she quieted down and she never cried again. Now, during those days, I discovered by reading Gandhi that this thing I'm telling you that what you went to school for is foolishness. I learned from Gandhi. Gandhi, he wrote this profound statement saying that something that you own but you don't need, it's stolen. Like you have so many clothes that you are not wearing, they are stolen property, even though you bought them in the store. So that was the first thing that really blew me away. And so, I tried to go home and try to basically eliminate things that we don't need. But then I realized quickly that there's going to be war if we don't proceed, a little bit carefully. And so I saw, oh wow, this is a war zone here. So let me slow down. And then the sixth testament he said, this is true for material things as well as for ideas, as for thoughts. So basically, the idea was any education that you have received that's not leading in the right direction, it's like stolen. It's a stolen thing. It's a worthless thing. So you invest in the negative territory, such that to undo what you have done, you have to come back. And then by the time you are at zero, somebody went in the proper direction. We have been twice as far away. And then after that, he said, a lot of things that we think it's education today is nothing but ignorance. Wow. I knew that was true because I was listening to a lot of news, a lot of NPR, a lot of Jeune Afrique, a lot of, people listen to CNN. That I decided CNN was fake news then. And so I immediately I make a decision. I will never listen to anything else today except the Bible and preachings. So people preaching about the Bible, that's what I'm going to listen to. I stopped doing that day for at least 2 or 3 years. I never listened to anything other than that. And so they were unnecessary possessions. So having then started listening to people preaching, I started picking up the best preacher. During those days, I was listening to somebody who's called Chuck Swindoll. He was the president of the Dallas Theological Seminary. He was one of the best out there. And so he was preaching then about the birth of Moses. He was saying that God likely to have partnership with man, and that's what happened to Moses. When Moses was born, her mother knew he's going to be killed. So she had to come up with a plan. What I'm going to do my child so that he's not killed. So she came up with a plan. She said, I'm going to hide my baby. And then when I can hide my baby no longer, I'm going to make like a small basket. I'm going to put the baby in, and then he will not be killed if God blesses it. And so that's what she did. And then the teacher says, indeed, God blessed her plan, and that's how Moses was able to live. And guess what God said? Go tell your mother that she needs to do the same thing. The same way mother or Moses come up with a plan, and God saved her son through the mother plan. Tell your mama she's not going to have to come up with a plan, and I'm going to bless the plan. And so the guy was speaking, I was on my way driving, go to work. My mom lived near the place where I worked, so I left home listening to, in a car. That's where my car, I turned my car into Jesus University. This thing that you see in me now, it's something I heard on video. So I was investing in myself that way, even though I was still like a slave where I was working. So when I get to know where my mom is, I say, okay, mom, this is what God's telling me now. Remember, she had the first time God, say He's gonna do the case. Now, maybe she thought I was crazy, but this time I come up with and I say, God just told me, in order for God to take your son from Kenya to here, you are the one who's gonna come with a plan. She said, come on. Me, I barely know how to write and read. So what that mean? Okay, so I said, okay, let me give you a counsel. Take your time and write down words. If God will give you a chance to meet somebody like Clinton, who is president, what will you tell him that will convince him to bring back your children or your grandchildren? Write those words. What you tell her. Write the words you tell him on a paper. I'm going to give you a week. So then after the week, give me those words. And so I was going to go to a mission business trip in Washington for a week. So I went to Washington. When I came back, she was ready with the words. And so those words were happy words. Sadness of a mother, who's missing her grandchildren. Everything was there. The package was strong. I mean, it made me cry myself. So anyway, my job was to translate them in English, and then guess what? I sent them to the commission of INS. She was also a widow of the guy who was the woman who was the INS commissioner through our congressman. So when they received the letter, I don't know what happened, but guess what? They were so sorry. They wrote back. They said, we are so sorry this happened. They invoked that his case was not proceeded because of the bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi. That was not true, but that's what they invoked. And then they said, we have fixed this problem. It's fixed 15 days. We have fixed it. That's what the letter said. So now, but because the letter to go through the congressman, it took time to get to us. And so when we get the letter Monday, that Saturday, my brother who was in Nairobi called me. And he said, here there's something that happened. It has never happened. We don't know what's going on. If they just, the embassy doesn't work on Saturday. They just call me. And because I'm a refugee, usually they don't know where I live. And if I have a phone number, they even don't know. But they did everything they could so that they can get me. So I just came from the parish where I go to church. The priest came to find me so that I can get that phone. And they wanted me to go and have an interview on Monday. And so I don't know what it is. So, but we were happy, we had an idea that maybe that thing went through, but we have not received the formal letter telling what to do. But then the next Monday, that's when we received the letter. The letter was saying we have fixed this problem in 15 days. And so in the next 2 months, basically they were here. But before they did, this lady who worked for the Catholic Charities, she called me. She said, "Okay, Leonard, is there any reason for people to want to assassinate your brother?" I said, "No, he's not involved in politics. Nobody knows him, so there's no reason somebody would want to kill him." Then she said, "I've been doing this job for 23 years. What they're doing your brother, I have never seen it in my 23 years of career. And this is what we're doing." We were involved into resettling, like somebody who was a doctor who had issue with his health. And they did bring him here on a medical emergency kind of deal. Medical emergency like 911. So they have to bring him so fast so that he doesn't die because they delay in the processing his case. It has been very quick. So your brother, his case is not a medical emergency, he's expedite. And you know what expedite is? Is what they do when they have like a head of state who is the friend of America, they learn that they're gonna make a coup if we're gonna kill him. So usually we do an expedite operation in which they go there, they take him out before the enemy gets to him. That's the operation we are doing on your brother. And then, like a week later, they came to Dayton. Him and his 8 kids. They were 10. Those things they do to process paper that other refugees do, they never done any of that. And so I saw the glory of God that. So that was the second month I was reading the Bible. This is how impressive that can be on you. That for me it was an impossible situation, and God resolved it in a short period of time, and the way I like all the way it was operating. Usually, this is how what I learned. When you don't know God, God guide you and lead you like when you are in a grocery store, you have like the cart, right? You are driving it. That's how God drives you when you don't know. But the stage where you get, then God can speak it to you. He can give you a plan. He can so do this, then So you have a conversation with God like a mother and a child, who is maybe 7, 10 years old. That's the kind of conversation I was having with Father, because I knew the goal. I knew I was operating the spirit what? Of counsel. He gave me a counsel, right? Remember, this is the second one. Isn't it beautiful? So of course I didn't know, but now right now as I'm talking, I understand. So he was giving me a counsel, and when I respect the counsel, his power executed the plan. And so that's how really you think that even though I am a man, I think of me that I am a young woman, and then the young man is dragging me, and that's Jesus, right? Do you see how much point he's making? So by the time we say, "Okay, come now, come," I was in a disco. I was like in Rebecca. I go. I left everything to serve him because I've seen his glory. Is it making sense? Basically, in the same way this miracle took place, that's what happened to my brother. And so he has been here since. His firstborn usually came at church. He became a worship leader. So we have people today who are witness of those things. Even though they don't remember how hard it was, they may have forgotten. But if we have like a family night kind of thing, we can eat this thing, each one of them can confirm them, because that's how it was happening. So, here is the point. Mary and Martha, they were friends of Jesus. they knew Jesus to some extent, but they have never experienced him as life nor as resurrection. That's why they could have wrong expectation and be disappointed when those expectations are not met. But Jesus interpreted that to see the glory of God. If you see the glory of God, if you see the glory of God, you believe. If you believe, you see the. So you can see the glory of God by believing at first. But even if you don't believe, when God shows His glory, then you're gonna have to believe. So then, what will be then your definition of God's glory from that experience? So maybe let's finish the story. So they took away the stone. Okay. Jesus. Let's go from 28. After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. See how she's free in talking? This has happened. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now, Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house, comforting her, noticed her quickly, she got up and went out. They followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. Do you see also how people's opinion are kind of messed up when you are in Adam? So they were supposing he was going to the tomb. Nobody told them, but they are making an opinion. Do you see how it was a good thing to release those thoughts? Because it's supposing, it's opinion that came from your own making. Or somebody, the devil, just planting those ideas in you. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. So you can see even Mary, even though she's more in love with Jesus, basically, she doesn't realize he is life. So she doesn't know him as the real deal. She doesn't know him as the way. She doesn't know him as the truth. And that's why he just delayed. He delayed so that he can show himself to them in that angle. And so, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit. Moved in spirit, and troubled. Where have you laid him? He asked. Why do you think Jesus is weeping here and is moved? Is deeply moved? Huh? No, use the Holy Spirit. Don't just tap into the flow. This is how it's easy to disregard that. So another try. So because this is why that reason cannot be. Number one, he's the one who delayed, right? Number two, he's their friend. Number three, he's gonna fix it. So why will he then weep? Any idea, Deborah? Why is he weeping, Jesus here? Why is he weeping? What's your take, Herbert? Jesus weeping. Why is he weeping? Listen, he's a friend of the family, right? He is already the gift for the family, right? Okay, he's God, right? I am God, you know me. The problem experiencing, I can solve it. And yet you are so broken, so sad, so. By the way, you even don't love Lazarus the way I love him, right? So what would that be? My people are perishing what? You have God in your house. Okay, Amanda, you have the way. You have the truth. You have the life. You have all you need. You have everything. And yet, are you celebrating? Are you happy you know God? Are you happy he's a friend of the family? Do you see that? Do you see a discrepancy there? Can that be you? Can that be you? You have the same thing. You have Jesus and he's all that you need. And yet, are you enjoying him to the full extent you could? Why? You don't know. Are you even pursuing him? Because if you pursue him, then that one will never be again. Okay, now do you see how sad that could be? Do you see how sad that on Jesus' side? So that's why I was weeping. So they thought that he's weeping for the same reason we are weeping. But actually, no. Okay, to prove what I'm saying, let's go back a little bit. On verse 3 says, so the sister sent a word to Jesus, Lord, that the one you love is sick. When Jesus heard this, Jesus said, this sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it. Did you hear that? And so now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. And then he said to his disciple, let us go back to Judea, right? So here what a conversation is going to have with disciple. But Rabbi, they said, a short while ago, the Jews here tried to stone you, and you're going back. Okay, let me disagree with you. Do you know what is at stake here? This is the devil fighting against the glory of God being manifested. Do you hear that? Who is the first people to oppose it? The church. He was the pastor, right? So the church said, no, we cannot have service. There's a lockdown, come on. But Rabbi even said, a short while ago, the Jews here tried to stone you, and yet you're going back? What's wrong with you? Those ideas you dropped, that's what it was. Do you remember that? When you say, I'm stopping arguing. This is the kind of argument we bring it to Jesus when we are arguing. So that's why I say it was a good thing that you just did. God was leading. Jesus answered, look at what Jesus answered. Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light. What do you say? He's speaking the parable, right? He said, are there not 12 hours in daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world light. So basically what that means is, in the same way you have this world light. This world light is what? This world light is what? Moses. Is what? So how would you call it? Kit, how would you call Moses? Huh? The shadow is the foreshadow. Remember Jesus never forget it. Jesus the real deal, Moses is what? Is a foreshadow. So this daylight is a foreshadow. So the people who have it, they do not stumble. That's what he's saying. Right? The people who walk by this light, anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world light. In other words, he's saying, in the same way you will see by this world light, I have another light, which is the real deal. By walking by that light, I know I can go there like you go by daylight. So our walking in the day is a picture of the walking by the Spirit. So I walk by that light, so I don't have to be afraid. Right? It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light. So you, on the other hand, because you don't have my light, right? You would stumble because you have no light. But I'm not one of you. So, but the most important point is there is another light by which I go, and by that I don't have to be afraid. So in other words, I'm being led by what? By the Holy Spirit. And here is using I am the light. So basically, I have light, I don't have to be afraid. After he had said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am there to wake him up. Did you hear that? Do you hear his language? By the way, Adam slept this way too. Before we can make Eve happen. Do you hear that? Our friend also has fallen asleep, but I'm going there to wake him up. His disciple replied, Lord, if he sleeps, we get better. Do you remember? This is the miscommunication. If he sleeps, he's gonna get better. Jesus had been sleeping, has been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So then he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. So they are forcing him to use their language because they cannot hear his language. Because as a guy cannot say he's dead, because he's dead, he's gonna die. So, but because he's explaining to them, and for your sake, I am glad. This is why they said weeping is not applied like in some way. Hear what I said. For your sake, I am glad I was not there so that you may believe. So let us go to him. I am glad you were there so that you believe. So when you see the glory of God, you do what? You believe. So then let's go jump there on weeping. So whenever he saw Jesus wept, then the Jews said, see how he loved him? Do you hear that? What the reason for how are they explaining his weeping? He loved him. But some of them said, could he who opened the eyes of the blind, made this man have kept this man from dying? Guys, these are people's opinions. Some people say, that's my opinion, this kind of opinion, right? And nobody's asking them. So Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. Take away the stone, he said. But Lord, Martha said, the sister of the dead man. By this time, there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days. So this girl, she's convinced that he's going to resurrect at the end of the day, at the end of the age. And then she said, Jesus, don't raise it. No, don't do that. Don't open, because he's smelling bad odor. So she doesn't have, do you see when you're in the flesh? You are an agent of Satan. You don't want the glory of God to be manifested. Even at this stage, we are still resisting him. First, the disciples resisted, and now the family that is going to benefit from the miracle, they're the ones resisting. And so, then you just say, didn't I tell you, Mugoro, you woman, didn't I tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? And so they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me. Right? When I said this thing, Jesus called in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out! The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Then Jesus said to them, take off the grave clothes and let him go. Here again is a case of when he does his job, but they finish off. Do you see? This is the pattern. He doesn't do everything. He just do what he do. What is that?
It's one thing.
Massive leverage.
Massive leverage. Maximum leverage.
He does what he's supposed to do. The other people do what. Okay, so then my question was, what's then your definition of the glory of God? So number one, as we said, the number one, it's goodness. Right? To bring back into life for somebody who is dead 4 days, it's a hopeless situation. What is it? He's been good. Isn't it? So you can see really the glory of God is always something very good. What's the second number two? Mm-hmm. Deborah, what's that? What do you understand of the glory of God from this story? And mine. Who's faith? Nobody had. In this case, nobody faithful was involved. Because as a matter of fact, Martha was supposed to have faith, but she did not. Right? So what is Amanda, what is the glory of God from these two stories, mine and Lazarus?
I think we're speaking more about like how like this oppressed me. So I think So like I was thinking how you talked about faith, anointing, and glory, and for the most part, as Christians, we go looking for the glory of God. So basically, in a way, can you relate that to the hunting situation we were talking? We talked about earlier, which I'm too. Like we want the glory of God, but we don't want the anointing. We don't want to dive deeper in Him. We don't want to be faithful. We want to question everything that He does. But we just want the glory. And I remember, like in the prayers, the first, like one of the first prayer, the very very first one that we talked about. I even wrote it down because I thought it spoke to me so much. But then now looking back, I'm just thinking to myself, I was looking for the glory of God, but I wasn't seeking His anointing or even having faith in Him. It says, which is basically John 17, 1 to 3. When Jesus had spoken these things, he raised his eyes to heaven in prayer and said, Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, so that your Son may glorify you. So I was seeking God's glory, but I wasn't doing everything else that involves the glory of God, getting the glory of God. So for me, that's what I got from this story.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Um, Somehow, the thing you are saying when you speak is you're talking about deep things. It's really very deep. Do you hear what she said? Eh? We are seeing the glory of God, but we don't want it to, to do the. But that's the issue of character right there. So a person without character, they want the benefit, but they don't want to pay the price. And then your sister saw that unless you are willing to die yourself, not just live, but also die yourself, you cannot see the glory of God. Do you see that? So then, what's the glory of God? Yes, by the other side. So they say it's power. It's kind of right there, but it's his demonstration of expression who he is in goodness, but also in power. There is an element of goodness, but also there is an element of doing something impossible, something you didn't think, something you have left for the abundance. It was hopeless for you. It was no. It was. You have said bye, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So for you, it's a situation that's so lost. You disinvested from it. You are no longer emotionally involved. You are no longer because it's dead. Mm? When the results have been, maybe one day later there's hope. 2 days, 3 days, but 4 days, it's over. Martha has made up her mind. Her mind. This guy is gonna come back at the end of the day. That's it. There's no hope to see you. Lazarus, bye. So it's hopeless. So then, when God comes into that impossible situation, He has to manifest Himself in that reality, and that's glory. Do you see that? So, yeah, it's good. It's always good, but it has to manifest in a certain way. in that certain way, it's glory. So that's one way to look at it. Now, I believe uh, I believe this is I'm changing subject kind of a little bit. So, yeah, you can transition something else.